These are all the jobs down at the end of Washington Elementary. That's us. So when I was 10, you could work. So like when I was 10, I was mowing lawns. I think on the far side there is a lawnmower. I started mowing with my dad's lawn, and he paid me to do that. So I was doing that, and then he found a neighbor and another neighbor, so I was doing 3 lawns. I was also delivering newspapers. Back then we had these things called newspapers. You roll them up, put them in a bag, and throw them on somebody's driveway so that they get the newspaper in the morning when they woke up. That meant some little kid was driving around on a bike and chucking them on as he went. And that was me. So, like, it was cool because I could make money. Like, I was already making money at that point, and buying things that were interesting to me. It was neat. By the time I got to the end of high school, I had 6 jobs. So from these 2, I went to dishwashing, worked at a dry cleaner, and I also worked at a supermarket. By the time I got to the end of high school, I knew I didn't want to go to college because I didn't really like school, didn't really appeal to me. I didn't know what I wanted to do. One of the only jobs that would take me was working in a restaurant. So I started out working in a deli, making sandwiches, and burgers and cheesesteaks and stuff like that, and I found that I had an affinity for it. Like, I like working with my hands, and working in hospitality is nice because you give people things that they like. You know, everybody likes food. You give somebody food, they're like, thank you. It was a beautiful interaction. So that's what got me into food. At the same time, I was going to this gallery, an art gallery in Pennsylvania, and they would have these metal sculptures up there. And like I said, I was crafty and I was artistic and I liked it with my hands. So eventually I came to the lady and I was like, hey, does anybody do this nearby? How do I get into this? You know, just asking her. Turns out there was a guy right across the river 5 minutes away that was making bronze sculptures like that. So I got a job with him, and we were doing stuff like this. When you heat metal up hot enough, it pours like liquid, so you can pour it into a mold, and that's what these statues are. So it was fascinating in that, like, by the time I was 22 or 23, I had a job that was moving me forward that I was good at, but I also had a side interest that was something else I could pursue. And that's kind of what drove me the rest of my life. I would always have a job that I was doing and serious about, but I would always have a side gig that I was interested in. So I learned a lot about that, but eventually, after about 9 restaurants, I kind of got to a place where I understood food and I could start doing my own thing. Like, you could describe the dish to me and I could make it. And so that made me feel like I was ready to be a chef. And I started thinking about all the ways that you can be a chef in life. You know, you work at a ski resort or a cruise ship. It kind of dawned on me that, like, there's yachts in the world and somebody has to cook on them. Does anybody know what a yacht is? All of you. What is it? It's a big boat, right? Giant boat. It's a much bigger boat. So I drove down to Fort Lauderdale. I found a magazine in the bookstore, and it had an ad in the back that said an agency that supplies crew for yachts, people to work on yachts. So I called them, and they were like, you need to come down to Fort Lauderdale in October. There's a big boat show, and that's the best time to get a job. So I drove down to Lauderdale, and I got a job on this boat. That's a 100-foot boat. There was 8 guests and 4 crew, and it was like my entry into yachting. I found a captain that needed a chef. He didn't have a lot of money to spend, so he had to hire somebody with no experience, and that was me. And that just really opened up a world of travel and excitement. Instead of being from, like, I wasn't on a town or a state level anymore. It was much more international. Like, I was working with people with South African accents. I was making food all over the place. It was extremely challenging and very rewarding. It was just a beautiful time. Like, I took that picture. Those are dolphins. So, like, you're on a boat, you're going forward, it's called making way. We're going somewhere in a boat. There's a lot of dolphins comes in, boink, 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 and they get right, and they ride the wave right in front of the boat. So you're going forward, and they're just like down there, just playing on that wave. So that's me hanging my head over the bow, and I took a picture of the dolphins. This guy actually, like, looked up at me. He was swimming, he's like, looks up at me, and then he goes back down there. So we shared that little moment. So I took a picture of it. That boat also took me to Italy and France, which was fantastic. Some of the islands in between. Europe was awesome. So that was a good 4 years working for them. Eventually, I used to travel with them. They had a house in Seattle, they had a house in Idaho, so I would travel with them and cook for them there. Eventually, they sold the boat, and they were like, John, what do you want to do? I was like, I live in Seattle. So they were like, come on, live in Seattle at our house. Seattle was my first West Coast city. You guys ever heard of California? Oregon, Washington, that's the West Coast. That's where America gets awesome. So that was the first time I'd lived in the West Coast, and it was spectacular. I was out there, I discovered glass blowing. So this is what glass blowing is. It's really hot. It's kind of like working with magma. It's kind of like working with water in slow motion. It's incredibly compelling. There's a lot of flame. It was just awesome. When I learned how to blow glass, I was like, this is it. Like, I'm going to do this for the rest of my life. This is going to be my job. This is going to be my legacy. This is it. That was not meant to be, because it's hard to make a living at it. So I found that was not going to happen for me anytime soon. But anyway, so here is, those are some of the pieces I made. Those are some of my favorite pieces. That's like nice art glass. That's me when I was 25. I don't know, I have blue glass. That was too. I used to have long hair. My hair wasn't always great. Yeah. So that was Seattle. Eventually, my girlfriend got a job opportunity down in Los Angeles. So I went with her. So I moved down there, and it was easy for me to find work because nobody knows how to cook for themselves down there. Like, there's a lot of rich, famous people there. They don't like cooking. They'd rather hire a guy like me. So it was very easy for me to find work. This is something I cook for. Anybody know this person? Who? I show you? What's your name? You have your hand up. No, Sandra Bullock. Sandra Bullock. Some movie star. She was a movie star back then. I cooked for this guy. Anybody know this guy? Tom Morello from Rage Against the Machine. Great guitarist. I used to go to his house. You know this guy? Alright, good. Finally. I cooked for him. He was a guest at the house I worked at. I also worked on commercial sets, which a lot like shooting movies with cameras and microphones and lighting and all kinds of things. It's really fascinating, like how commercials are made. Go. Huh? No, I cooked for him long before Deadpool. It was like after his first or second movie, and some guy brought him over to the rich guy that I worked for. One thing, like, people kept asking me, like, when I worked on boats, like, is this Britney Spears' boat? Like, they can't afford boats like that. It's the business person that gets that boat, not the movie star, until you get to the crazy level of the movie star.
If you worked for Deadpool, why are you working at a school?
Because I'd rather be here with you.
Aww.
So that was super cool. Like, there's a lot of times in my life when I had a couple of months to kill, and I had these little bit jobs that were super fascinating. Like, working on commercials and movies is fascinating. During this time, I wanted to be a glass blower as well, but I couldn't find a place to work because there were not a lot of studios down in LA. So I bought a welding machine, and I learned how to weld in the interest of making my own glass blowing equipment and starting my own studio. I know. So during the course of that, I met a guy in New Orleans that had a company making stuff like this. So I formed a friendship with Eddie over the phone, so that by the time my time in LA was over, I moved to New Orleans to get a job making glass blowing equipment. So this is a large glass blowing studio, but this is what we made. So there's a lot of welding, there's a lot of installation work, some concrete. Super cool job where I had great exposure to really good equipment, but also really good glass blowers. So I was surrounded by people that were much better than me at glass blowing, and that was awesome. Eventually, all of the things come to an end. So again, I did between jobs. So have you guys heard of oil? You guys know what oil is, right? Oil makes gas, gas makes cars go. So you got to drill for oil. This is an oil rig out in the middle of the ocean. So it's really just like that. Like, this is a great video because, like, there you go. It's a great video because, like, when you're really high up in the air, you're looking down on the water and these things look tiny. You don't even know what they are. There's these little spots out in the ocean. And as you get closer and closer and closer, it starts to turn into something you can recognize. Oh, no, that's the personnel basket. So here's a little thing. This is what, like, an approach of a helicopter looks like.
Have you ever set yourself up?
No. That's a good idea. I'm afraid of what I find.
Are you inside that helicopter?
This one, no, but I sat in that seat for the exact same thing. So this is something I found on YouTube. Pretty cool, huh? Yeah.
Where were you when it happened?
That's the Gulf of Mexico. Because I live in Louisiana, and like, so there's a lot of people down there that are doing that kind of work.
Did you like doing it?
Loved it. Totally fascinating.
Off-topic question, but what led you to teaching?
We're gonna get there, so let me hold it, okay? We're definitely getting there.
What was your favorite job?
On the boat? Well, my favorite jobs were boats, I think. I think about it in terms of like top 10, top 5, top 3. So like, this top 3 were probably one of my boats.
Okay.
I don't know, tough question. I've got 46 jobs. This is a top 10 job though.
What was the toughest job you ever had?
This one?
Being a chef on boats. It was nuts, dude. I used to work a 16-hour day.
Ooh.
Like for days and days and days. I used to work 30 days in a row. I worked 60 days in a row. No breaks, no nothing. But like I like work management. You work, and then you don't work. Right? So like you pack it all in instead of dragging it out. That was always nice for me. Marielle, last question.
When you were working for Ryan, did you get into it?
No.
Bro.
All right. This is a good one. Here comes. All right, this is called the personnel basket.
What'd you say?
This is the other way that you get onto an oil rig. So imagine it's 1 o'clock in the morning. I get on a boat just like that. It's kind of like a pickup truck flatbed boat.
Hold
They
on,
take
I'm
me out there,
recording.
it's
There's somebody
like 5 or 6
record for
hours
me.
underway. I'm feeling kind of gross because like the waves make me sick. Like I get seasick. So anyway, they're lowering this thing down. I'm like, what's that? That's not for me. What would that possibly have to do with me? So imagine like I'm that guy in the blue with the white hard hat on. They lower this thing down, put it on the deck.
I need you to record for me. I gotta see what Lee wants.
And then you have to stand on the outside. That's not actually me, but that's what I did. So like they hoist you up, and that's how they get you on the oil rig. There you go. And they won't let you sit in the middle in case the cable breaks. So it felt like it was 100 feet in the air. It was scary.
What was your favorite job?
Hanging out with you right now.
How does it feel working inside this job?
It feels awesome. It's not like any other job, and I can go on and on and on, and I will. But it's not like any other job, not by a long shot. Like being here with you people is like magical. Like you people are magic. And you make me nuts. And sometimes I have to yell at you. But like working in a school is absolutely unlike anything ever. I love it. I highly recommend it.
Have you ever fell?
On that thing? No. Dude, if I fell off that thing, I'd be really hurt. It was super scary. Anyway, that's how it goes. Alright, so shortly after that, my friend in Burlington called me and invited me up there to buy a restaurant with him. So he was a really good friend of mine, and I really believed in both of us. So I went to Burlington and got a job in a restaurant that we were going to buy. Over the course of a year, it turned out that it wasn't the right move, the right thing to do, and I'm happy about that. But I went back to Fort Lauderdale to work on boats again, because I knew that I could make a living then. So there's this boat. This boat took me up to Canada. This boat was great because the crew was a lot of fun. That's what I remember most about this boat. Went all over the Caribbean. That's me having fun. Now you know. That's me in the hula hoop. This boat was awesome because like every time I changed jobs, I went to a bigger boat and that meant more money. So every time I got a 10% raise, which was a good thing. That's me. So that boat was actually docked in Jersey City over the summer. You know, when we went to Liberty Science Center, it was docked right there. Like there were trees there that we could have seen it. I'm not sure if it was there or not at that time, but it will be. Because we did summers there. That's me in a survival suit. That's in case your boat goes down, sinks. That's like a wetsuit that'll keep you alive, it'll keep you floating for some time. I got on this boat, and you guys know who that is? No.
Abraham Lincoln.
It's not me. Who's it?
George Washington.
Not so. What? Yes. Polanco got it. It's Sean Connery. That guy is a legit movie star. Legit. As big as any movie star ever. And I come from.
That's amazing.
We also went across the boat on that one. It took me 14 days to get across the ocean. I got lucky. It was super flat because sometimes it could be super wavy and scary out there. What's up?
I actually been on a yacht when I went to the Dominican Republic.
What was the name of the boat? Do you remember?
Huh?
What was the name of the boat? Do you remember?
No.
All right. Nice, man. Cool. So there we are, Europe and back. Hold on a second. Let me get through this next part. So by then, my sister had a baby who was my nephew. So my nephew was born. And there would be a niece shortly after that. But like having them in the world made me want to be in New Jersey because I didn't want to be missing their growing up. So instead of traveling, I went back to Jersey. And I got a job working for a rich lady in the city. That's me as a butler. Yeah, that's me as a butler. At the same time, I bought a piece of land out in Pennsylvania, so I learned how to use a chainsaw too. So I was doing the rough and refine thing. And like that chainsaw, again, like I learned how to use a chainsaw, and that would be a job that I did later in life. So like I'm just learning things as I go.
Oh, finally died?
There it goes. So I'm just learning things as I go, and sooner or later, the opportunity came for me to have a job in that. You know?
So you basically became a
We're getting there. So, I was in Jersey at the time. Somebody called me up and offered me a job on a boat out in San Francisco.
Hi, sound off.
I don't have the microphone anymore, so I'm sorry. But so I didn't want to go to San Francisco for this boat job, but I needed the money, and my life wasn't going anywhere, so I needed something to push it forward. And that's just how it went. You know, like you got to balance these things. You know, like I was trying to balance the two between my nephew and this job. So I go out there. I get a job on this boat. It's a really old boat from 1933. It's older than me. That's what it looks like out of the water. Shipyards are totally cool. They do really cool things out there. But eventually, that job wasn't great, so I came back to Baton Rouge. If it was great, I would have stayed with it and I would have worked it out. But since it wasn't great and I wanted to be with my nephew, I came back here. So, during that time, that's when I started being a trucker. Trucking was great because I knew that I could learn how to be a trucker in a month and have a brand new career. You know, so trucking was great to me. I started growing beards.
Who's this?
That's me. Hey, those are mutton chops, dude.
That's you?
Yes. Come on, it's not that weird, is it? They're mutton chops. Guys, at least once in your life, boys, you should grow a beard. It's awesome. Case in point right there. Oh, that's me. Alright, so this is me on my boat going on a ferry. I was really afraid of rolling into the water. So very. But like truck driving was super scary. It's dangerous. Like I drove in hundreds of days like that. When nobody wants to be there. It's icy, it's scary, there's accidents all over the place. You don't know what to do because if you're not driving, you're not making any money. But also, like I hit a giant bird. You know, like trucking is dangerous. And I'm always thankful that like I didn't hurt anybody and nobody got hurt. And I didn't hurt myself and I got out of it. I did it for 9 years, nobody got hurt, I made a lot of money. Let's move on. What's that? Yeah, no, bird hit me. We were going like this and everything. We hit our deep. No, a big one. It's like a bull. It's big. I mean, a smaller bird wouldn't do the damn thing. That's it. Yeah. Yes. It was a price you paid, man. It was terrible. It was a price worth paying. You know, so like, you know, I mean, if I wanted to be there, I had to do the job. I still got sick. What are you gonna do? I really wanted to be there, you know? What are you gonna do? So during that time, I had extra time. And like I said, like I tend to use my time. So during that time, I went for a bachelor's degree. And that was pretty easy. So I stuck around for a master's degree. And that's what qualified me to work here. So after trucking, I came here to be with you guys. All right, let's have some questions. Yeah, that was September.